There's a moment in the night when everything seems to slow down. The lights grow softer, the sounds around you lose their sharpness, and even your thoughts begin to find a quieter corner inside your mind. It feels as if, for a few seconds, the world is breathing right along with you. In this almost invisible pause, when the body seeks rest and the soul prepares to cross the threshold into sleep, something deep begins to happen. Your sensitivity widens. Your heart becomes more receptive. The soul starts listening to what the noise of the day kept you from hearing. It's in this quiet, sacred instant that many people feel a gentle vulnerability rising, a mix of tiredness, longing, uncertainty, and the desire to find an inner shelter that embraces them from within. When night falls, countless hearts feel the need for something beyond logic, something that protects not only the body, but also that intimate space where emotions rest and old memories quietly rearrange themselves. Some people close their eyes with a tightness in their chest, searching for a presence that can hold what the lips cannot explain. Maybe you felt that too, that subtle desire to be held from the inside out, to find a silence that doesn't frighten but soothes, a light that doesn't blind but guides, a protection that doesn't come from the outside world, but rises from a deep place within the soul. Maybe you've asked yourself, even without words, why do I feel like I need something that protects me on the inside, not just the outside? Questions like these tend to emerge at this precise point in the night, when the soul is more fragile and more open. And it's in this tender, sensitive territory that an ancient mystery begins to take shape. Few people know it, but Jesus shared something that wasn't complex or hidden. It was simple. So simple that many overlooked its depth. He used short, luminous words, spoken almost like a whisper, able to calm inner storms and quiet fears no one else could see. Few syllables, yet full of presence. Few letters, yet overflowing with meaning. 2 words capable of touching the very place that, right now as you listen, becomes more awake and more sensitive. Throughout this video, you won't just discover which words he used, you'll feel them. You'll sense how they fit into the silence of the night, as if they were created to be spoken in this exact moment, when the soul longs for refuge. By the end, you won't be left with just new knowledge. You'll have lived an inner experience, a feeling that something gentle has opened inside you, a peace that doesn't come from the outside, but from the same source Jesus taught us to awaken from within. When we think of protection, the mind usually imagines physical barriers, outer shields, something strong enough to keep visible dangers away. But Jesus always showed another path, a path that begins on the inside. He didn't calm only the fears that could be named. He soothed the ones hiding in silence, those no one else could see but that weighed heavily on the heart. His strength wasn't just in his actions, it was in his presence. A presence so serene it embraced everything around it, dissolving anguish before it could even take shape. Perhaps the clearest example of this is the moment he calmed the storm. While everything around him was chaos, the wind, the waves, the fear of his disciples, Jesus remained centered, awake within himself. He didn't shout to fight the storm. He simply spoke with intention, a short, firm phrase, carrying an authority that didn't come from force, but from light. And the sea calmed, not because he yelled, not because he battled the storm, but because the vibration of his words aligned perfectly with peace. Jesus never represented rigid, harsh, distant authority. His protection was loving, warm, human. He walked beside those who were afraid, hurting, or feeling small in life. His presence said, or even in silence, "You don't have to face this alone." It wasn't about imposing something on the world. It was about awakening in each heart an ancient memory, the memory that a light lives within us, a strength that doesn't break even in the darkest of nights. This protection isn't something external that descends from the sky like a visible shield. It's a state of consciousness, a way of being that awakens when we remember who walks with us. When the mind recalls the gentleness in Jesus' eyes, something shifts, fear softens, the body relaxes, the soul returns to center. It's as if a flame inside the chest grows brighter, illuminating places where shadows once lived. And this is where certain words become keys, simple words, but carrying the same vibration of presence that radiated from Jesus. When spoken with intention, especially at night, when the heart is tender, these words reopen that inner state. They connect you to the light already alive within you. They guide the soul back to the quiet shelter where fear loses its power. What you'll learn next is not simply a pair of words, it's a spiritual key, a doorway into the state of peace Jesus awakened in every person he touched, a return to the serene presence he carried everywhere he went. There's something mysterious about the way words touch the soul. Even when whispered softly, they carry vibrations that travel through the body, shaping thoughts, emotions, and even the rhythm of breath. When we speak with true intention, we're not just moving air, we're moving energy. That's why some words seem to slip past the surface of the mind and reach deeper regions, where memories, feelings, and perceptions quietly begin to shift. Philosophically, words are threads that weave inner landscapes. They shape how we perceive life, strengthen what we believe, and soften what hurts us. Some say the mind responds to language the way the earth responds to seeds. Whatever you plant, especially in moments of heightened sensitivity, tends to grow. And at night, when the conscious mind rests and the subconscious expands, words become even more powerful. They serve as compasses capable of guiding dreams, encouraging healing, and directing the soul toward peace. Imagine each word as a small flame. Some go out quickly, others ignite something larger inside us. Modern studies show that short, meaningful phrases can shift emotional patterns, reorganize thoughts, and ease anxiety. But Jesus knew this long before science ever tried to describe it. He embraced simplicity. He chose brief, luminous expressions, not because they were easy, but because they were precise. They reached the center, not the edges. That's why they still hold so much power. We can spend whole paragraphs trying to explain what we feel, while a single true word can make the heart understand instantly. The words Jesus used were never complex, but they carried presence. When he spoke, there was no distance between his voice and his light. His intention was pure, and that purity turned every syllable into a spiritual act. This is why certain words, spoken before sleep, when the soul opens like fertile ground, become tools of light. They enter the mind like seeds and expand through the night, filling places once occupied by fear or restlessness. They work like an inner shield, not one that fights or pushes away, but one that illuminates. And what is illuminated can no longer frighten. The two words you'll soon receive are not a spell or a strict ritual. They're a spiritual memory, a reminder of the vibration of peace that Jesus carried, and that he invited each person to feel within themselves. When spoken with intention, these words awaken that same silent, deep, transformative presence. Jesus knew that the deepest truths reveal themselves in silence, not in empty silence, but in the kind that listens, receives, and makes space for something to awaken within us. That's why he chose simple parables, familiar images, small gestures. He understood that the soul doesn't need excess to understand what matters. It needs space. And the simpler the message, the more easily it enters the heart. But in today's world, we're used to noise. Not only external noise, but the loudness inside, repetitive thoughts, stored-up worries, expectations that collide with each other. The more we try to control everything, the further we drift from the quiet where peace lives. And this is why simplicity becomes an act of spiritual resistance. The louder the world gets, the more the soul longs for small, clear, luminous words. Jesus knew the power of the small. He knew a single seed could transform an entire field, that a simple gesture could change someone's life, and that a short phrase, spoken with love, could reach places long speeches never would. We search for big signs today, big answers, big assurances, but we forget that healing often arrives through the smallest things. A whisper, a pause, the simple. This is why, before receiving the two words, it's necessary to make space inside. Not physical space and emotional space, a space that appears when we allow the unnecessary to dissolve and let the essential remain. Simplicity is not lack. It is pure presence, focus, essence. The soul realizing that to feel light, it does not need to carry the whole world. It only needs room to breathe. The spiritual strength of simplicity lies in its ability to return us to center. When everything feels tangled, when life grows overwhelming, a single small word can bring everything back into alignment. Jesus used simplicity the way one offers shelter, a refuge built from a few letters with infinite meaning. And as you prepare to hear the 2 words ahead, you're really approaching that same inner refuge. Simplicity is the key that opens the door to peace, and it's in this quiet space, cultivated slowly and gently, that the revelation of the 2 words will find fertile ground to bloom. Before any word takes effect, the soul must be available. Jesus understood this profoundly. Whenever something meaningful was about to happen, he guided people into a state of quiet, not a forced silence, but one that rises naturally when the heart feels seen, understood, and embraced. Often, before a transformative teaching, he simply looked at someone, a look that said, "Breathe, I'm with you. Trust." That brief pause created space for the light to enter. This is why repeating words is not enough. Their power comes from the state in which they're spoken. If the mind is restless, if the chest feels tight, if thoughts rush like fast-moving rivers, the words hit the surface but don't sink in. But when there is stillness, even 2 or 3 seconds of it, the soul opens like a window, letting in a gentle breeze. And in that state, protection becomes almost tangible, almost physical, almost visible from within. Imagine the process now. Feel your breath slowing. Notice how the air enters and leaves with more softness. Let your shoulders drop, your jaw unclench, your heart find a more comfortable rhythm. There's no need to force anything, just allow. Surrender is always quiet, and the more you surrender, the easier it becomes to feel the presence that protects, embraces, and illuminates. Jesus honored that moment. Before speaking, he paused. Before healing, he listened. Before calming anything, he came closer. This inner silence was the soil where transformation grew. And it's in this same atmosphere that the 2 words you're about to receive must enter, not as information, but as experience. Something that gently descends within you, like light touching the center of your chest. Creating this space isn't complicated. It doesn't require ritual, technique, or perfection. Only presence, simple, honest presence. When the soul enters this state, everything changes. Words stop being sounds and become vibration. They stop being meaning and become feeling. You don't just understand it, you feel. Now, in this moment of the journey, where your breath is calmer and your awareness deeper, your heart is ready to receive what Jesus used to calm fear, rekindle faith, and illuminate even the darkest nights. The 2 words that protect and awaken. Everything is quiet enough now for them to reach you. The words Jesus used were never accidental. They were small, direct, gentle, yet filled with a light strong enough to pass through any storm. He knew the soul recognizes truth not by the length of a sentence, but by the vibration behind it. And so, in moments of fear, loneliness, or uncertainty, he often returned to the same brief expressions, the ones capable of settling even the deepest inner silence. Among those expressions, today we choose one. I'm here. 2 simple words. Just a handful of letters, yet carrying the essence of love, presence, and safety Jesus radiated. When he said, "I'm here," it wasn't just a physical statement. It was a spiritual gesture, a declaration that light does not abandon, love does not disappear, and fear loses its strength when divine presence draws near. Imagine Jesus saying this to you, not with urgency, not with rigid authority, but with the gentle tone of someone who truly sees you. I'm here. The vibration of these words touches the heart in a way that needs no explanation. It's like an invisible hand resting on your chest, reminding you, even when everything feels dark, I'm still by your side. Jesus used expressions like this to soothe, sometimes with a gesture, sometimes with a gaze that reached the soul, sometimes with a simple touch, always with love, always with presence, always with the understanding that the person before him needed comfort more than instruction. It was his way of dissolving fear without judging it. When you whisper, "I'm here," before sleep, something shifts inside you. The phrase expands like a breath of light moving through the body, releasing tension and washing away the worries of the day. The soul recognizes the vibration, because in a mysterious way, it carries the tone of Jesus' presence, quiet, steady, protective. These two words act as a living reminder that you are not at the mercy of the world, not abandoned, not alone. They awaken the memory of a light that stays with you, even in heavy nights, tired thoughts, or emotions you try to hide. When you hear or say, "I'm here," the soul responds. It softens, it quiets, it remembers. Now that the two words have been revealed, it's important to understand that their power isn't only in the sound, but in the way you welcome them into your breath, your body, your heart. Before sleep, there's a silent doorway between the conscious and subconscious, a space where everything becomes more open, more sensitive, more ready for transformation. In that moment, "I'm here" becomes more than a spiritual gesture. It becomes an inner ritual of light. Picture yourself lying down, the room dim or completely dark, the world outside slowly fading. You close your eyes gently. You let your breath settle into its natural rhythm, like an ocean wave coming and going without effort. Inhale slowly, gathering calm. Exhale deeply, releasing the weight of the day. Let your shoulders loosen. Let your chest open. Let your mind stop trying to control what doesn't need to be controlled. The body knows how to rest. All you have to do is allow it. Then bring your awareness to the center of your chest, that place where so many emotions and memories rest. That's where the phrase must land, not on the surface, but in the essence. And then softly, almost like an inner whisper, say, "I'm here." Say it slowly. Feel the phrase descending like a thread of light, illuminating every tired corner. Feel the vibration spread within you, like a quiet embrace you give to yourself, and receive from something greater at the same time. Say it again, slower, letting every letter find its home inside you. As you do this, you activate a subtle mechanism, emotional and spiritual. Your breath sends signals of calm, your mind stops fighting, your soul recognizes a presence that has always been there, even when fear tried to hide it. "I'm here" becomes a spiritual code that opens the way for peace. If you repeat this little ritual for a few days, something begins to form inside you, what we could call spiritual memory, a growing familiarity with the presence of peace. Each time you say the words, the soul remembers faster, the body relaxes sooner, the mind surrenders more easily, and what once felt heavy or turbulent begins to fade. Over time, these two words create an inner path, a path you can walk every night, and also during days when your heart feels troubled, a path that always leads to the same place, the center of the light. There was once a woman who felt a tightness every night that no one else could see. When the lights went out and silence filled her room, her heart felt fragile. During the day, she hid her worries behind tasks, responsibilities, and polite smiles. But at night, everything became clearer. Fear rose like an old shadow. Anxiety walked slowly through her thoughts, and a sense of spiritual vulnerability crept in like a cold wind she couldn't stop. For a long time, she believed she needed to stay strong even when she was exhausted. She tried distracting her mind. She tried convincing herself nothing was wrong. She tried fighting fear with logic, but the heart didn't calm. There was a quiet emptiness no thought could fill. She closed her eyes wishing for one thing, to feel she wasn't alone. Until one night, after an emotionally heavy day, she heard someone talk about two simple words, words Jesus used to bring peace to those who felt overwhelmed. The hour was late, the room was nearly dark, and she decided to try. She lay down, took a slow breath, felt the bed hold her weight, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't fight her feelings. She simply allowed herself to be. With slow breathing, she placed her hand over her chest and whispered inside, "I'm here." At first, it felt like just a phrase, but something responded, like a silent inner door opening. She repeated the words, softer this time, and felt a warm wave move gently through her chest. It wasn't something she could see or explain. It felt like someone was holding her soul with tenderness. For the first time in months, she felt she didn't have to face the night alone. As she repeated the words, a quiet calm began to descend, like light slipping through the cracks of a window. Anxiety weakened, fear loosened, and something inside her settled gently. It was as if a silent, loving, steady presence was right beside her. No voices, no visions, just a deep sense of being held, protected, seen. That night, she fell asleep without a fight. And when she woke, she noticed something had shifted inside her. The sense of being accompanied lingered, like a soft fragrance that stays on the skin after the wind passes. She repeated the ritual the next night, and the next, and the next. And with each repetition, the light arrived faster. Each time, her soul remembered more quickly the presence that had never left her. What transformed her wasn't only the words, it was what they awakened. The realization that inside her existed a shelter, a steady light, a presence that remained even when everything felt silent. And just as it changed her life, it can change yours too. Because the soul recognizes truth when it meets it. And "I'm here" is a truth that ignites. The presence of Jesus has never been just an external gesture. It has always been, and still is, an inner, silent, profound experience capable of transforming how we see ourselves and the world. When he approached someone, he didn't drive away darkness with force or fear. He illuminated it. And when light grows, darkness loses strength naturally, not because it's defeated, but because it no longer finds a place to remain. This is the essence of spiritual protection, not a barrier that blocks the dark, but a flame that makes the dark disappear. Jesus always protected this way. He awakened a light inside people so true that fear simply could not survive there. Darkness didn't lose because it was fought. It lost because it stopped making sense in the presence of love. The two words you've learned, "I'm here," act as a living reminder of this constant presence. No matter what your day was like, no matter what you felt, thought, or feared, each time you repeat these words, something inside you comes home. The soul realigns, the body loosens, the mind lets go. It is as if Jesus whispers again, in the same soft tone as always, "You are not alone. I'm still with you." That remembrance changes everything. When we think we're alone, any shadow seems bigger than it is. But when we feel a presence with us, the weight softens, the path clears, the breath becomes lighter. The protection of Jesus is not a shield separating you from the world. It is a refuge strengthening the light within you. And this is why, when you say these words, you're not just seeking comfort. You're awakening a profound truth, that Jesus lives in the light within your heart. He does not protect by removing fear. He protects by expanding courage. He does not prevent storms, and he reminds you his presence is greater than any storm. He does not erase the night. He lights a flame within it. When you say, "I'm here," your soul hears two things at once: your own willingness to be present with yourself, and the quiet echo of Jesus' presence, always with you. It is an inner meeting, a merging of light, a silent awakening, and it's in this state that true protection happens, not as something that comes from outside, but as something that lights up from within. Everything you've heard so far is not just reflection, it is a return to something that has always lived inside you, even on the days it felt far away, because the gentlest, most transformative truth is this: you have never been alone, not for a single moment, not in the quietest nights, not in the hardest days, not in the moments when your soul felt too tired to carry its own weight. The presence of Jesus has always walked beside you, sometimes visible, sometimes silent, but always real. Now, as the night approaches, or perhaps as you're already in it, let this remembrance touch your heart like a breath of light. Close your eyes for a moment, breathe slowly, and let everything you've learned settle inside you with tenderness. Remember the words, remember the calm they carry, remember the protection that rises from the soul, not the world. And when the moment comes to lay down, when silence begins to wrap the room, whisper softly, "I'm here." Let the phrase illuminate the space around you, and especially the space within you. Let it descend like a gentle blessing, guiding your soul into a deep, serene, protected rest. Each time you say these words, the light expands, the heart opens, and the presence of Jesus becomes more clear, more close, more felt. If this message touched your heart, even a little, share it with someone who might need the same light. Sometimes a single phrase, spoken at the right time, is enough to transform an entire night. And you can be the bridge between someone's darkness and the comfort these words bring. May you end this video with a peace that continues to resonate within you for a long time. May your night be light, quiet, and full of grace. And when your eyes finally close, may you feel, not just know, that a loving presence is with you, always.